Welcome back, goons and goonettes. This is Articulate with Steve McJones, and we're getting to the nitty-gritty with it this week with my roommate and friend of 12 to 13-ish years. Probably more. I have lost track of time. It's not important. Andy Beckman, getting onto our Halloween-y theme subject of conspiracy theories and just the general overall messed upness and screwed overness of the world that we live in today. It is really interesting. This guy can talk for a while about these things, and I would be entertained. You know, I you can tell in the episode there's a lot of things he says that pique my interest and blow me away at parts. And yeah, it's just really interesting that there's just parts of the internet and Netflix and YouTube and things that I have never explored myself that somebody has to, and this guy's gone into it pretty hardcore. So yeah, he's very knowledgeable in certain ways, and it's a fun listen. So I hope you guys enjoy and get ready to be enlightened. Alright, 3, 2... Happy HallOUween!
Oh yeah, it is Halloween. I keep forgetting it's Halloween because we already had the block party last week.
Yeah, it was just kind of lame.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought I'd have the scariest guest that I know on for this week.
So what does that even mean?
Andy Beckman. You're just a wild card, dude.
Wild card, baby!
Wild card. Yeehaw! Yeah, man. But I wanted you on this week because you know a lot about conspiracies and stuff. You blew my mind all the freshman year. I'd come up here and be talking about John F. Kennedy, aliens, just rant about serial killers. And I mean, you have some credentials. You listen to like the last podcast on the left, and you watch so many documentaries and whatnot on this stuff. So I figured you'd be good to talk about it and get some information out there that people might need to know. That's not well known information.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, some of the stuff I watch, it's definitely just like random videos on YouTube that probably aren't not everything is credible that I'm watching.
Yeah,
definitely you have to just kind of weed through, the stuff like that.
But yeah, but I mean, you're also a pretty smart person that separates it really well, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and you when you were telling me, you let me know. It's like, well, I saw this on a YouTube video.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Take it or leave it.
It's kind of fun to go down the rabbit hole sometimes, regardless of whether or not it even is true. It's just kind of fun to think about it and go down different avenues. This could be happening. We don't know, but maybe.
But maybe.
Yeah, because I think that's in all reality, it's our entire government and the entire world.
In the right entire now, universe.
It's they're I just feel like everyone is telling you one thing, and it's not
Well,
how do we even know? We have no idea.
Yeah.
We have no idea what is going on. Nobody.
Yeah, because I watched this documentary called Hypernormalism, and it's about how basically it relates everything from the Middle East in the 80s and 90s up and through the political campaign, but it also incorporates how LSD is in that, and then the digital world and the explosion of that and everything. And what it says is now we're in the state of hypernormalism where everybody's acting like everything is fine, but what's really happening, they said this is why Putin likes Trump, is because in Russia they're doing the politics, but Putin's campaign team is funding the opposite team. They're keeping the people in a state of confusion so that nobody knows what's actually happening, and
for sure.
And that way people just kind of do what they want in their lives and kind of just try not to get too involved in it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I personally, half of me thinks that's how the entire United States government run everything via Republican versus Democrat. They're keeping us focused on this bullshit race that doesn't really actually mean anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're Democrat versus Republican, it does
it's all the lizards,
it's all
dude.
distraction.
Just the lizard people.
Yeah, dude. Tom Cruise knows, man. He's on something. I'm telling you what.
No, seriously, man. It's but
no, it's just I just feel they're distracting us from everything because they're running stuff behind the scenes that they don't want us to know or that we're not supposed to know.
Yeah.
And a huge there's a documentary on Netflix. It's called Unacknowledged. And he's actually a medical doctor, but then he started getting really into alien technology and stuff like that, and government conspiracies and stuff like that. But he was he has literal documents like that the CIA has released, and he shows them in the documentary. Mm-hmm. And the U.S. government since like the 30s and 40s have denied like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of patents. Like we should be thousands and thousands of years farther technological wise than we are right now.
Really?
Because like our government, like we should not be using gas at all anymore. Period. Like the reason that we still use gas is because it's a multi-billion-dollar global industry. And if we started having power, like with the molecules in the air, like all the atoms circulating around us, if we could figure out a way to make those react with each other, that would create power. So we can literally pull power out of the air, like out of thin air. And it explains it all in this documentary. It's called Unacknowledged. But
yeah. No, see, this is...
So it's like, it's wild, dude. Like, we should be... we should have hoverboards. Like, we should not be using gas. Like, we should... cancer should not be a thing. Like,
oh, well, of course. That one's...
like,
well, that's what I'm saying. We like, I didn't know, like, thousands of years. It's probably, like, hundreds. But, you know, but still, like, I didn't know it was to that degree. But in a way, I kind of did. Just because even Watergate, back in the day, like, we always knew that they were covering stuff up and keeping us... But it's just, like... We are continually silenced about that stuff, or just distracted from it. Not even silenced. It's like, I mean, the whole Ebola thing happened, and then the next day, or even the more recent one, the Epstein guy, killed himself or something, and then the next day, the Chick-fil-A sandwich was all over any social media. That you just completely was like, the Epstein was one, like, it was kind of a big thing, but not really, and people didn't really know what was going on. Mm-hmm. And then
that's why there's a huge meme on the internet right now that's like, Epstein didn't kill himself. You know what I mean? And it's like he's out there somewhere.
He's with Tupac and MJ.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's just all distracting. Like,
it's kind of
and misinformation. Like it's like misguidance. Like they're trying to get you to look at one thing because they're doing something else over here. It's like a magician's trick.
Do you think there's a solution to it?
Because I mean. No. Definitely not.
Really?
No, we're way too far in. There's way too many people involved, and there's way too much money at stake.
Really?
Oh, for sure.
That's
without our entire federal government absolutely collapsing, going into anarchy, there's no way that anything's going to change.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
Because like America is looked at by stupidly as like quote unquote the freest country in the nation. Like we are free. I understand.
No, only America sees themselves as free.
Yeah, like it's still like. How are we freer than other free countries? There's hundreds of free countries. Like you know, like we're just one.
Well, so I didn't want to get too much into the politics side, just because I mean that's really easy to just dive into and like point out everything that could be done and whatever. But I mean, so talk about conspiracy, you know, from politics and getting into conspiracy, like the whole JFK thing, man. Like, that is very obviously, there's something weird going on, you know? And it was so covered up that nobody really talks about it. Like, even in history classes, we just learned that he was assassinated and they investigate him, and then they just pinned it down on this one guy in the book, and that was the end.
Yeah, there's like a page on it.
In
your history book, you're like, this is when John F. Kennedy died. Everyone's like, oh, okay. Yeah, but like... Yeah, there's a ton of documentaries about that too. That's one I'm not like super versed about. I agree with you. I think something is like definitely weird about it.
But wasn't his whole campaign being like
he was trying to pull all the troops out of Vietnam, basically.
Well, wasn't there a whole thing about revealing things to the American public that, you know, nobody else?
Yeah, he was also like there's also another conspiracy theory that a lot of the Kennedys were like banging Marilyn Monroe.
Well,
and she
who
found
was
out about it? Yeah, and like a bunch of people, like, she was going to tell people stuff.
Right.
So then she died.
Oh, yeah.
And then Jack, no, wait. What's his brother's name? Robert Kennedy. He also died.
Yeah.
Because, like, right after John F. Kennedy died, he started campaigning. And he was
with the same slogan.
Yeah, he was about to get elected, like, you know, I think he was running as, it doesn't matter. Whatever party he was running in, he was getting elected.
Yeah.
About to be that party's, like, you know,
the
political guy.
Yeah.
The candidate. So then he got assassinated. And, I think you kind of dodged a bullet there, honestly, a little ways. Because, like, the Kennedys were, like, a huge, like, family, and everyone loved them. They were taking over, and, like, everyone just, like, did what they said. And I think that's kind of when, the media control started, like, from, like, everything. Like, all, like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
No, it's
like,
all right.
Like, the media control, like they
so it started with the Kennedys because they were such a big family?
Yeah, because, like, that's, like, really the first time that Americans really got, like, super... you know, passionate about, like, a political figure, like, more so than before, like, there hadn't been one in a while. Like, they were the first ones in a long time that people were like, these guys are awesome. Yeah. Like, pretty much the general consensus of America, everybody was, like,
everybody was going to
like
vote for
Kennedys.
JFK. Yeah, for sure.
But, like,
So that's you're right. That is like that. So the JFK is like, the Kennedys were people that were actually genuine and like nice people, or seemed like cool people, even though they were a big family. His whole campaign was preaching truth and like keeping the American public involved, and the media, just the rest of the government, even and he was the youngest one too, and I don't know, it's. And since then, we haven't had. I mean, Obama was cool. I think most people.
I think he got a lot of positive opinion.
Right.
Like throughout America.
But like besides that, everybody. It was always just like either a dumbass like Bill Clinton or George Bush, or everybody. It was like obviously puppets. They were very obviously.
I don't think Bill Clinton was a puppet. I think George Bush was he was so dumb. He was he was just a puppet. Yeah, he just did he just talked. He did what the Republicans told him to say.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Kind of politics is like sketchy. That's like, I don't know. Like you said, it's kind of weird talking about conspiracy theories involving politics because it's just like so ingrained in politics. I feel like so it's like kind of like going down a rabbit hole. Just like getting lost. But like to switch it up a little bit, like other conspiracy theories, like definitely that I think we don't have all the information. Like I feel like a lot of people get a lot of flack for this one, but I definitely think 9/11 was something crazy. Like I don't think it was like I don't think our own government was like, we're gonna knock down these buildings because
just because.
Yeah, I think that they just like didn't give us all the information from it because like just like a few things that are weird. Number one is that like everyone only thinks that 2 of the buildings fell down. That's not true. A third building fell down that wasn't even touched by a plane, and it fell down like hours later.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that.
And then the guy who owned the towers took out like a huge settlement on the building, like an insurance settlement, like the day before that the towers got hit. So like, I don't know. I'm not saying anything like crazy, but like he knew about it.
He knew
it was gonna happen. And then the plane that hit the Pentagon, instead of just flying straight into the Pentagon, like it was coming north to south, instead of just hitting the northern side of the Pentagon from the direction it was coming, it flew over top of it, did a loop, and then came back and hit the other side of the building, which happened to be the only part of the Pentagon that was under construction, and there wasn't a lot of government employees in there, and all the documents had been moved to other parts of the Pentagon.
That's wild.
Yeah,
that is wild, dude, and that just makes you like if 9/11, like what, especially like what it's worked up to be, if that is not real, like or it was real,
I just
and
think
like people
that the government,
died, but it's like
for sure people died, and I don't think that the government really was involved. I don't think they planned it. What I personally believe is I think they found a way to make it benefit their agenda.
Right.
Because like
they heard
from
about
what they
like
told
rumors.
Us, yeah, like ISIS and like Al Qaeda, like not Al Qaeda, but like these terrorist organizations.
ISIS.
Yeah, ISIS. Yeah, these like organizations. I think.
So the problem with ISIS
is. But I think like they're kind of like a government construct because like they didn't have. It's not like they're like we are ISIS. You know what I mean? That's, they don't.
We are ISIS.
Yeah, like that was America. We started calling them that. I don't know. I could be wrong. Like I could just be talking out my ass right now.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
like
how most people are nowadays.
Yeah. It's been a while since I read anything about this, but like supposedly ISIS was like created by Bush, like the idea of it, and then they took it and started using it. But like, it was just a bunch of insurgent groups inside of Iran and Pakistan. That was what started it, and then we put a name on it. And I think like we empowered in a way.
We sold him a bunch of weapons.
We legitimized. Yes, we sold him a ton of weapons. Bill Clinton started that, and then George Bush kept it going.
You're right.
And actually, Obama did it too.
And he drone bombed him.
Yeah, but like, how can you? In my opinion, though, they didn't know. Like, there's an entire economy involved around weapons, like whether you like it or not. And
true. But that's the thing. We're also money driven.
You know, exactly.
It's the same thing with It's the same thing with the entertainment in the media is like the reason they do these things like 9/11 or whatever just to get ratings or something in the entertainment industry or just people worked up to buy something even safety gear, get a bomb shelter back in the day whatever it was, and it's really messed up. But what I'm looking forward to is hopefully, I listened to this podcast with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and it was a really, really intellectual dude talking about how he was talking about the world in general, but in the end, what are 3 options going forward from this political collapse that we're kind of probably going to experience, and not only that,
I think we are going to experience it, and then probably honestly within the next 10 or 15 years. Personally, that's what I
I
think.
mean, that's what I'm hoping.
I mean, I don't want to see it happen, but I want to see it happen.
But I want to see it on the same time.
It's like a car crash. Like, I don't want to watch it, but I can't look away.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that, but then the whole AI and robots and everything coming out and starting to take over all the base level jobs and all the lower level stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
He said that the three options that we have from here on out are to either... Well,
but one argument against that, though, is because, like, you know what, my brother Chris, his job is he's a robotics technician. So, like, there are robots and, like, AI and machines being built, but they're taking those jobs away that a person used to do. But at the same time, it's also creating other jobs because somebody has to go fix those robots when they stop working.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're not that far advanced yet.
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah.
we're still creating jobs within, like, automating.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's, like, a huge myth, honestly. I think, like, people that are, like, the whole automation...
Well, that's what he said.
Scare.
Well, so
Like,
that's what the
yeah.
best of the three options is to create new industries. You know what I mean? Within getting rid of like the car, not even the car industry, but like lower level industries like that. But
we're
implementing like programming,
evolving.
like we're evolving.
Yeah,
but
like we're moving on
industries.
from, building tables and furniture for people. Now we have robots to do that, and people are creating code for apps and internet. You know what I mean? Like we are now.
That's new.
We're
That's going to be the new base level
yeah,
thing.
like 40 years ago, you could not go get a job as a website designer unless you like really had connections or knew what you were doing. Now anybody can jump on their computer and create a website. Like
right, just no problem
right now.
No
you know
problem at all. But what I'm excited for it though is because. The entertainment industry is one of those things that's not going to be able to just... You can't replace the entertainments with... I mean, you could. You can replace a lot of the jobs, but a lot of entertainment is personality and creativity, And you can have, like, an AI think up, a show that might broadly appeal to this amount of people or this, which I think they do already with like Stranger Things and like the Marvel movies. They have like robots just thinking about all that stuff. And
for sure. They've known the formula for years. I mean, look at shows like Modern Family and like Friends.
True.
And The Office.
And The Office.
They just create shows that
they have the formulas
everyone can identify with because
it's so relatable.
If you're watching The Office, there's at least one character that you feel like you can relate to. It doesn't matter what kind of personality you have.
Yeah.
They have every single kind of personality in the show. Mm-hmm. And that's the idea, and they want them all to interact with each other.
Right.
And that's not really how the world works, but that's how everybody wants to see it.
Yeah, exactly. So on one hand, it is kind of a good thing to have that and like to be able to go to that when you're kind of feeling like a little lost in the world and you're like, okay, this is what the world could be like.
Yeah.
Potentially.
But I think people take a lot of their mannerisms and personality. I think like 50% of it comes from what they've watched on TV.
Oh, 100%. On the last podcast, or 2 podcasts ago, I had this guy Mikey on, and he was talking about how, like, growing up, TV shows were like your best friend, basically. They were like one of your friends. And and you just got shaped so much by it.
For sure. I watched a ton of Malcolm in the Middle growing up. Even though, like, it was like the end of the show when I started watching it, so like I think I watched like the last season maybe while it was on TV. But after that, I just watched all the reruns as it was playing.
Of course.
And I mean, like I definitely
identify with.
You
grew up in
like I feel like
you grew up in a family of 3 boys, and there were 3 boys in the house there too.
For sure. So
so the relatability, it was just.
And then now with the like Netflix and Hulu and everying, there's just.
Well, that's
honestly,
what I'm saying,
there's a multitude of options, and it's really it's too much. I think
it's
for humans to handle because like. we were at a restaurant with my dad and my cousin, and the table next to us, there was a mom, and I mean, her kid couldn't have been more than 2 years old. She had her mom's, I'm assuming it was her mom's phone. I hope it wasn't her phone. Mm-hmm. But she was holding a smartphone, and this baby was holding it for the entire time they were eating.
Oh,
and my cousin, Janelle, she's a speech pathologist, and she's like, that baby, it's going to mess up his speech. You have to, you need to be talking to your kids.
Yeah.
You can't, have them just, they're going to learn all their speech from shows.
Yeah, and then that's going to be the way they're going to think.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the base level knowledge of how you go about your daily life is what you experienced when you were a kid, I feel like. And if you have that... a friend of mine, Lucas, saw a kid holding a phone, and immediately they pulled up something on Netflix for the kid, and the kid was like 2 to 3 years old, and knew... It was like the beginning of a movie, and hit the the fast forward, like the plus 30 seconds button, like 3 times, just to skip past immediately. Like already knew was conditioned to just be like, all right, this stuff doesn't really matter. Get to the meat of it.
I think it's like it's a complicated balance at the same time of like not letting your kid have a smartphone. I think I'll let my kid, if I have kids, I would let him, because I had a phone when I was in 7th grade. I got like a flip phone.
Yeah,
like, I couldn't get on the internet. I could only text and call people. That's all I could do.
And that's connecting.
So, like, number
with people.
one, yeah, exactly.
And
that's like, I think it helps you get to like, I mean,
a social.
Think about like back, say like our parents' time. You know, when they wanted to hang out with their friend, they had to call them on the phone, hope that somebody answered at their house. And if nobody answered, they would just go there. And if nobody was home, they would have to drive back. Like, I mean, it makes it a lot more convenient, but I think the smartphones have like taken over, man. Like,
too much.
But at a certain point, though, I think it holds you back socially.
Exactly. That's why social anxiety and depression is such a big thing.
It kind of sucks
nowadays.
that it's a thing, really, because my Uncle Chick, he didn't let any of his kids have phones until like they were like sophomore in high school. Mm-hmm. And Billy got one only because my dad, like their companies, it's my dad and my uncle's company. Mm-hmm. My dad put Billy's phone on the company plan. That's the only reason he even got a phone. Nice. But he was like, I could definitely tell like it was holding him back like socially. He couldn't, he didn't have Facebook, or I think he did have Facebook, but it's just a lot easier. You don't have, you can't call people as easily. 100%.
Like, well, dude, back when I first got mine, it was just such a comfort because in school, I was at a new school. I moved to Lebanon, and I didn't know like that many people, and so you just kind of go to your phone and like see what other people are doing, and it makes you feel like you're having an interaction with them. When in reality, you're just like watching them from afar, and you don't know how to approach them at all.
See, what's funny, I feel like it's still the same way even now that I'm in college, because I'll like sit down on the couch and like it'll be like 9-10 o'clock at night, and I'm watching people's Snapchat stories. Yeah, and they're like at the bars, or they're
and you get a little bit of that.
I'm a little bit like, I'm gonna go down there.
It's like,
you know what I mean?
It's FOMO.
And then,
that's a little FOMO.
But then I actually, get up and walk my ass all the way down to the bars, and then I get there and I'm doing the same thing that I was doing the night before. You know what I mean? I'm just standing there drinking, talking to the same people that I'm always with. Like, right. I mean, not that I don't enjoy that, like, but at a certain point you got to think about it and like what the fuck is the point of this? Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, well, yeah. But you could say that about every human interaction. Mm-hmm. Like what the fuck does this even mean? Like, right. why are we socially constructed the way that we are to interact with each other the way that we do? Right. Yeah. Like, when did it start and why? Like it changes every like 10 or 15 years. That's wild if you like actually think about it. Mm-hmm. Like, well, and even just like watching like clothing, like that's just like people's brains are like changing. Like in the set, like just because everyone else was like, yeah. And so now everyone's like, yeah, that's what looks good. That's what looks good, yeah. It's a style. It's just opinions are constantly changing. And
but the thing is, there's a such thing as groupthink, and I think a lot of groupthink is implemented. Going back to conspiracies through, like, the government and what they want to keep people subsided, but I think there's going to be a point where I think you can see it even in the fashion industry today as things are getting a lot more creative. You know what I mean? They've always been pretty creative with fashion, but nowadays I think it's more accepted to go, you can go out to the bars in a polo shirt. You can go out to the bars in what Matt was wearing the other day, a parka and like a sailor's hat.
Dude, that was so funny.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You find it funny and you immediately are like, oh, this guy's a likable person, probably. Yeah. Or he's a creep. One of the two.
Well, in Matt's case, he's mostly likable.
Mostly likable. Yeah, we'll say that.
I'm just kidding.
He's a cool guy. But yeah, I don't know. So it's just interesting. It's actually really interesting to see how society is going to change and shape it within the next 10 to 15 years, like you said, and see what the new socializing style is, and what's going on all with that. Do you think robots or aliens are going to?
I was just about to say. I was like,
are going to meet up with us.
I think within the reason that our society, world society, not like I think. If this doesn't happen, our American government is definitely going to collapse in the next 25 years. I think we're headed. Nobody knows what's going on. Everyone's confused. It's not a good situation. No. I think like in society, like we've already done it like 2 or 3 times, but in different ways. I think like the Egyptians probably did it. Maybe the Mayans as well. Like if you look at like the structures they were able to build. Yeah. Like we have no idea how they put them there. No clue. So I think that we already have gotten to the point as human society, like in the past, to where like we were able to get into contact with like alien civilizations. I think that the aliens and the Mayans probably did it in a different way. I think they like somehow
the Egyptians and the Mayans did it.
Yeah, I feel like they found like an alternate plane of reality to where that they could converse with these upper level beings of like extraterrestrial, exactly, like some Rick and Morty shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like alternate dimensions of like they figured it out how to like change their brains to where that they could contact these people,
right?
Or
create other things.
And so I think that they did, and human society is not meant to like meet aliens. We are not. I think that when we do,
really?
Our society collapses. It's too much information for us, and it creates too much turmoil within our world. Yeah. So we just destroy ourselves, and then we have to start over again. And I think it's happened like twice, and I think we're on the third time, and I think we're really close. But this time we're like physically going to space.
You're right.
Instead of like talking to them on the.
So,
you know what I mean?
So what's gonna be the difference this time?
Oh, I think we're gonna destroy ourselves. We're already destroying ourselves. We're nuking each other all the time.
Right, but if we go to space and meet up with the aliens, that's a step farther than probably the Egyptians or the Mayans encountered. Right?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I don't know. I don't know. I just think it's the information.
Do you think? Well, so here's this.
Because like I think they've been watching us for thousands of years. Like they're watching Earth. I don't think that. Also, people think that aliens are like these little green people. They're not. I think they're just like. They might not even have bodies.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Arrival before?
No.
The alien. Well, you should definitely watch Arrival. It's a really great movie. Top 15, I think. Mm-hmm. Top 10-ish. The aliens are portrayed as just these black shapes that the way they communicate is they spray like a shape, and so the whole movie is about them figuring out what the shape means because they know it's a form of communication. Mm-hmm. But that's what I mean. It's not a little green person. It's something that we can't even comprehend yet. They're just in fog.
Oh, for sure.
And they're trying to communicate.
Oh, definitely. Mm-hmm. And I think that they've been watching us for thousands of years. And, like, around the 40s and the 50s, that's when, like, basically, you know, Roswell happened, Area 51 was, you know, created, everything like that. That's when we first started seeing aliens. But also, 40s and the 50s is when we started developing atomic bombs and nuclear bombs. And I think that the aliens, like, saw us, or watching us, and they just see us start, like, blowing shit up in the middle of the ocean. They're like, what in the fuck is happening down there? Mm-hmm. And they, like, that's why they started coming down. To, like, see what we were fucking doing.
Yeah. And, like, so, do you think maybe that's why...
Because, like, the only viable way right now, because, like, if you look at the universe, the closest planet to us that could possibly support human life, quote unquote, mm-hmm. like, the only way that we are feasibly possibly able to get there right now with our current technology is, like, literally nuking ourselves. Like, we would blast ourselves with nuclear fucking explosions, and it would propel us at light speed through space.
No way.
And it would still take us like 15 years. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, but that's like right now, that's our quickest way to get to that planet right now, currently.
That's wild.
And I think that freaks the fuck out of the aliens. I think they're gonna blow themselves up and the entire universe. And it's like, what if we just set off a nuke in space somewhere and the entire universe just gets sucked into it and we all die? Like, everything.
Oh my god, dude, that's
know,
wild.
No, crazy.
Well, no, they're all probably setting a date. They're like, all right, this is the day because time is like fourth dimensional for them. Mm-hmm. So they're like, all right, guys, come and watch the fireworks in the universe.
Exactly.
We're gonna see if this works out for the humans or not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
But another way to get to that planet is like figuring out what black holes are and trying to figure out how we can open up a black hole, and then if we can open one up, where is it going to take us? Is it going to just spit us out somewhere on the other side of the universe, or
do you think that the government is hiding the whole alien thing from us because of the same reason that you said that it once the public knows that they're real, it's just too much?
Oh no, the government's hiding aliens because aliens means aliens technology, and there's too much money invested in oil. It sounds ridiculous. No, you're right. That's real. It's all in this documentary called Unacknowledged. It's wild. It like goes over aliens, and then it leads into the stuff about like the patents and the government. You know, it explains why like the government doesn't want the public to know.
Right.
Like, it's not because it's too much information, it's going to freak everybody out. It's because people have, not just people, entire families, entire groups of people have billions and billions and billions of dollars at stake if these industries go out. They don't care. They're only on Earth for 80 years. They don't give a shit whether or not human race finds aliens.
Yeah.
They don't care. They're only worried about what they're doing now. Their lives are fantastic. They're billionaires.
Right.
They don't want it to end. They don't want it to stop. And if the public finds out about aliens... One, it might collapse society. Two, it would take away all their money that's in oil and like cancer research.
Yeah.
Whatever, pick your poison.
Whatever
like any of it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason why the government doesn't want us to know. Among other things.
Among other things. It's just one, just one reason. All right, man. I don't know if there's anything. Do you have anything else to like wrap it up, or I mean, I think that covers most of.
Bush did 9/11.
Bush did 9/11. I knew it. Jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
I'm just kidding. It wasn't George Bush. It was Dick Cheney.
It was Dick Cheney. The whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah, man. It's just crazy to me how much stuff. I'm glad you brought up that unacknowledged documentary. I think.
Yeah, I will definitely plug it. I plug it all the time because it's like the dude who hosts it too, Stephen M. Greer. He's awesome. Like he seems like he's intelligent. He presents facts and not like just like random conspiracy rambling. Right. He like legitimately backs up everything that he's saying with CIA documents that you can look up yourself on the FBI's website or the CIA's website.
Damn.
So like they're just released documents. Like one of them is a document the FBI released that says something along the lines of there was a crash at Roswell. There were 2 bodies or 3 bodies recovered and flown to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is in Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
So
you can't deny that.
And that
you
got
can't
released to the public.
Yeah.
And the FBI wrote that out. They typed it up and sent it out. Like it was a real thing that happened. Like you can find it on the internet. It's on their website. It's on the FBI's website.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. So like I think that another problem with like conspiracy or like talking about aliens, I feel like everyone looks at you like you're crazy.
Like you're crazy.
People look at me like I'm a nut job when I talk about this stuff. Like I have like a tinfoil hat.
Like Tom DeLonge, dude?
Yeah, I think that like mindset needs to change because like
but
otherwise we're not going to change anything.
Right.
Like when nothing is. If people talk about how they want the world to get better, but if you keep having such a closed mind about things, like I'm not telling you to go out and like start telling everybody the Earth is flat.
Right.
Well, that's ridiculous. But like
make sure it's not first before.
Exactly. Like form your own opinions.
Question everything.
Yeah, question everything. I totally agree. Question everything. For sure, without a doubt. That's the only way. But like not in a cynical way. Like in a way that's like, why?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Why?
Just like in a more curious way. Like instead of like, I don't assume everything is fucked.
But just to figure it out for your own benefit, so you can add it into your life experience and choices and be behind that. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Understand it. All right, guys. Well,
I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming out, dude. Question everything. Yeah, it was a good fun one. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. And listen to me. I want you to know this is genuine. I love you. I love you. Okay, bye.